Want to speak real Japanese from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at JapanesePod101.com.
Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about some common Japanese verbs you can use in daily life. Let's get started. Okay, let's take a look at the key vocabulary for this lesson. For this lesson, there are 10 words that are very commonly used in everyday life in Japanese. Let's take a look. Okay, the first verb is tabemasu. 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 This means eat. The next verb is nomimasu. 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 This means drink. The next verb is mimasu. 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 This verb means look, watch, or see. So in English, we can use look or watch or see according to the situation, but in Japanese, we don't have this differentiation. We just use mimasu for all three. The next verb is kikimasu. 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 This verb means listen or hear. So just as with look or watch or see, we can use kikimasu to mean listen or hear. We don't have to worry about two separate verbs in Japanese. Okay, the next verb is ikimasu. 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 This means go. Next is kaimasu. 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 This verb means buy. The next verb is shimasu. 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 This verb means do. Next is hanashimasu. 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 This verb means speak or talk. So again, just as with kikimasu and mimasu, this verb can be used to mean two different things, to mean speak or to mean talk. In Japanese, we use hanashimasu to express this. Last two, yomimasu. 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 This means read. And finally, kakimasu. 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 This verb means write. So these are the key vocabulary words we'll look at in more depth in this lesson. Okay, let's take a look at a dialogue that uses some of these verbs. The first sentence here is 週末は何をしますか? 週末は何をしますか? Which means, what are you doing this weekend? The response is 車を買います。車を買います。Which means, I'm buying a car. In these sentences, we see some of the verbs that we looked at earlier in this lesson. We see します here and 買います here. At the end of this sentence, which ends in します, we see か. So this particle makes a sentence into a question. What are you doing this weekend? I'm buying a car. Okay, let's take a look at a couple more examples that use these verbs. The first example sentence is テレビを見ます。テレビを見ます, which means I'm watching TV. The second example is 海へ行きます。海へ行きます, which means I'm going to the beach. So you'll notice in these example sentences and in the dialogue, the verb comes at the end of the sentence. Here and here. The particle changes according to the meaning of the sentence, but the verb is always at the end. Let's take a look at the basic grammar pattern we need to make sentences like this. Okay, let's take a look at the key grammar pattern that we've seen in this lesson. First, we see here in parentheses, 私は. So, 私は means I am, or I as the subject of the sentence. It's in parentheses here because it's very common to drop this when the subject of the sentence is already known from context. So, for example, when we saw this sentence, テレビを見ます, or this one, 海へ行きます, the subject of the sentence is clear. I'm talking about my own action. So we don't have to say, 私はテレビを見ます, or 私は海へ行きます. It's already clear, so it's very common to drop this. It's not incorrect to use 私は at the beginning of the sentence, but it does make things a bit more efficient. After this, we see some kind of information, depending on the verb used, followed by mas here. So again, this uses the polite non-past form of the verb, as we saw at the beginning of the lesson in the vocabulary lists. So according to the verb that you use, this part of the sentence will change. So with each verb, there's a different sound. So that part of the sentence will be decided according to the verb. Here is the basic pattern that you can follow when you want to make your own sentence. I plus the object or the destination, depending on what you want to say, followed by a particle and then the verb. Particle, again, will change according to the verb you want to use. For example, in this sentence we saw e to indicate direction. In this sentence we saw o. Same thing here and here. This indicates an action of some kind. So depending on your verb, depending on the information that you want to communicate, your particle will change. But this is the basic pattern that you can use.
Do you remember how to say drink? 飲みます。飲みます。And how to say eat? 食べます。食べます。Do you remember how to say buy? 買います。買います。Do you remember how to say go? 行きます。行きます。And how to say look, watch, see? 見ます。見ます。Do you remember how to say lesson, hear? 聞きます。聞きます。And do you remember how to say speak, talk? 話します。話します。Do you remember how to say write? 書きます。書きます。And how to say read? 読みます。読みます。Do you remember how to say do? します。します。
Great! So in this lesson, you learned 10 common Japanese verbs that you can use to talk about daily life, and you learned a key grammar pattern that you can use to make your own sentences. I hope that this was helpful for you. Of course, if you have any questions, comments, or if you want to practice making some example sentences, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. I hope that you enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you again soon. Bye! Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.